And it is probably one of my favorite tasks every year, because we never know what we're in store for, to introduce and invite John Riley, president of Astral Television Networks and Astral Téléréseau, to come to our podium. John is responsible for the operations of 6 pay, specialty, and pay-per-view services, including the Movie Network, HBO Canada, Family Channel, Playhouse Disney Canada, Viewer's Choice, and Super Écran. So John, it's not an Olympic year, but what do you have?
Yes, as the minister said, many of us were inspired by Katie Lang last year. For those who were here. Thank you, John, and good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. Bonjour et bienvenue à toutes et à tous. First, I would like to thank the Honourable James Moore for having been with us today. And secondly, Norm mentioned it, the minister mentioned it. Obviously, tweeting is a very big thing. So I just want to let you know that during my introduction of Mr. Tapscott, I will be tweeting to show that I'm with it, down with it. On behalf of Astral, let me start by saying that we're delighted to once again sponsor the CMPA's Primetime in Ottawa. Oh, hold on. I'm with the minister. No free eye touch this year? What a ripoff. That's the only reason I come here. Astral is a longtime sponsor and supporter of this conference, and I would like to congratulate Norm and his team for what promises to be another excellent event. Each year, this conference manages to pull together the people and identify the issues that best represent the challenges and opportunities facing our industry. But what is most important about this conference is that it represents a coming together of all constituent groups to celebrate Canadian film and television and to reaffirm our commitment to our culture and the shared experiences that make our culture so unique. En tant que principal exploitant de services de télévision spécialisés, payantes et à la carte, diffusant en français et en anglais au Canada, Astral croit fermement à l'importance d'offrir aux créateurs canadiens les ressources nécessaires pour qu'ils nous racontent leur histoire. Hold on. Now doing the part in French. Audience is staring back at me blankly. They must not speak French, like I do. Une portion clé de cet engagement provient de Super Écran et de Movie Network. En effet, ces 2 chaînes de télévision payantes Astral qui diffusent respectivement en français et en anglais ont, année après année, accru leur soutien à la production cinématographique et télévisuelle. Au cours de l'année qui vient de se terminer, elles ont versé plus de 71 millions de dollars de des émissions canadiennes. Astral is incredibly proud of our contribution to film and television, and we're pleased that our efforts have resulted in projects that have received critical acclaim, garnered countless awards, and reached audiences here and in Canada and around the world. And this year, I mentioned this morning, we extend particular congratulations to Barney's Version and Incendie, 2 films that received significant financial support from Astral and which went on to receive recognition on the world stage at the Golden Globes and the Academy Awards. Hold on. Audience and I, and no doubt Mr. Tapscott, happy that Astral commercial is now over. With that, I will now introduce our keynote speaker today, Mr. Don Tapscott. Don is an internationally sought writer, consultant, and speaker on business strategy and organizational transformation. His clients include top executives of many of the world's largest corporations, as well as government leaders from around the world. The Washington Technology Report has called him one of the most influential media authorities since Marshall McLuhan. Tiger Beat magazine called him cute. Oh. Tiger Beat magazine joke went over pretty well. I guess it was a good idea not to go with the concept of coming on stage in an egg like Lady Gaga. Don is the author of 14 books about information technology in business and society. His latest book, Macroeconomics, Rebooting Business and the World, co-authored by Anthony D. Williams, is the follow-up to Wikinomics, How Mass Collaboration Changes Everything. Wikinomics was an international bestseller, and in 2007 was the #1 best-selling management book in the U.S. It's been translated into 20 languages, and the follow-up promises to follow a similar trajectory. Don is adjunct professor of management at the Joseph L. Rotman School of Management at the University of Toronto. He holds a degree in psychology and statistics, a master's of education specializing in research methodology, holds 3 Doctor of Laws, and is a fellow of the World Economic Forum. Hold on. Having serious inferiority complex right now. My sole degree is from the Mississauga School of Hair Design. He joins us here today to speak about some of the themes presented in his latest book, including rebooting of the media industry in the wake of the internet and the collaborative platforms that have shifted the role of content provider and consumers. His ideas regarding a new business model for the media industry are relevant and highly applicable to many of us in the room who recognize the importance of staying competitive by reinventing traditional models and addressing evolving consumer needs and expectations. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Don Tapscott.
I have to tell you, I've probably given 1,000 speeches in the last 10 years, and that was the funniest introduction I've ever had. And those of you who are on Twitter will actually see that I just tweeted that with a picture of you. So there you go. Could I have my deck up, if that would be possible? Thank you. By the way, for those of you who are on Twitter, I'm at D. Tapscott. Et j'aimerais faire cette présentation en français. Mais rapidement, les francophones ici me demanderaient de la donner en anglais. So if it's okay with you, I'll just stick with English. There's a big change that's happening in the world with media, and I'd like to start with one of its most interesting applications. What's happening in the Middle East today. This is a really bad time in history to be a tyrant. See, because when you had the old media, print, radio, and television, you could control it. And it was centralized. It was one to many. It was one size fits all, and the recipients were passive. They were recipients, viewers, readers, listeners. The new media is the antithesis of all of that. It's highly distributed. It's not one to many, it's one to one and many to many. You can't control it, and as such, it cherishes this awesome neutrality. And it will be what we want it to be. And it turns out that millions of young people in the Mideast want it to be a tool for organizing, for employment, and a tool to change the whole paradigm of them being subjects. They want it to be a platform to self-organize, to collaborate, and to form powerful movements for exciting social change. Now, up until a month ago, when you had a revolution, you had a vanguard. There was always the party or the organization. As Malcolm Gladwell said 4 months ago, you always need a hierarchy to bring about a revolution because you're fighting against a hierarchy. And the vanguard organized the people. Sometimes the masses were ahead of the vanguard, but the vanguard did the logistics, and it got the placards out to the masses in the streets, and it armed the people. Sometimes it was involved in the conquest of power, and they were prepared to take power. Well, with these new wiki revolutions, as I've called them, what happens is that people can now self-organize, and at their fingertips they have the most powerful tool ever for finding out what's going on, for informing others, and for organizing collective responses. And all you would-be tyrants in the audience, note to file, don't shut the internet down if the masses get upset, because it backfires. See, the first thing it does is when people can't communicate using their tools, they have to come into the streets to communicate. Secondly, network theory tells us that you have active nodes that are in the center of the network, and there are all kinds of inactive nodes. Well, you shut down the internet, and all of a sudden those inactive nodes are triggered. And you have moms that have a sick kid and they can't get onto whatever, WebMD or something to find out what's going on. Someone who's got a little business on e-commerce, and someone who's working in a hospital who uses the internet, and someone in a supply chain who needs the net to do their business. And the third thing is that in the past, the thing that usually brought about the downfall of the old regime was a general strike, when the workers and their organizations shut down the economy and the old leader had nothing left to do but to withdraw, or was defeated as a result. Well, the effect of shutting down this new infrastructure for innovation, for production, for distribution, for collaboration, for healthcare, for social discourse, is to cause a digital strike against yourself. So it's not a productive thing to do. So on the other hand, this raises some very interesting issues. Because there's no leadership, and these things happen so fast as they are right now. I mean, today it's Bahrain. Iran is now opened up again. There's no vanguard to take power. This leaves a vacuum, and politics abhors a vacuum. And so it's a dangerous kind of situation, too. I was at Davos a couple of weeks ago, and I was at a session where there were two ministers from the new Tunisian government. One of them had been a minister for 10 days, and the other didn't even have a placard because 48 hours earlier he wasn't a minister. He was a consultant working in London. Someone called him up and said, "We need a new government really fast. Do you know something about economics? Could you come in and become the minister of the economy?" So this is a time of great opportunity. It's also a time of great danger and of great peril. So what I'd like to do is to try and go from 90,000 feet down to about 70,000 and describe to you what I think is happening to media and the media industries. Now, some of you may have read Wikonomics, and it was about the corporation. We argued that the internet is not about websites, eyeballs, stickiness, page views, a new channel, .coms, anything like that. The internet is becoming a global platform that radically drops transaction and collaboration costs. And as such, it's leading to a change in the deep structure and architecture of the corporation, and how we orchestrate capability in society to innovate and to create goods and services. Now, it turns out it not only changes the corporation, it changes everything. What the internet's doing today in Egypt and in Tunisia and in Bahrain and in Iran and throughout the Middle East is it's radically dropping the transaction costs of dissent and the collaboration costs of rebellion. Now, the book was a big book, and it had been out for a couple of years. And I started to come to this conclusion that it's not just about the corporation. When I was giving a talk in Belgium, and it was the week that Merrill Lynch and Salomon Brothers collapsed. And it was, the group was called Cybos. It was a bunch of bankers, big crowd, 7,000 bankers in the audience. And I was giving the closing talk, and I looked out of this sea of bankers that were sort of like deer in the headlights. And it occurred to me, Bob Dylan, there's something going on here and you don't know what it is.